Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute drama of the 2026 World Cup final. 39 days, 104 matches, and Spain takes the crown with an incredibly tense 1-0 extra-time win over Argentina. But as you'll see, this wasn't just a game. It was a profound collision of tactical philosophies, an absolute masterclass in statistical domination, and literally a passing of the torch on the sport's biggest stage. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with a clash of philosophies, break down Spain's tactical domination, look at De La Fuente's human touch alongside Messi's quiet leadership, and finally, we'll address the chaos after the whistle and what it all means for passing the torch. So, part 1, a clash of philosophies, positional play versus passionate grit. To really understand this final, we have to look at the massive historical contrast on the pitch. You've got Spain's modern evolution of Tiki-Taka going head-to-head with Argentina's Bilardismo. Right? On one hand, Spain is leaning entirely on strict positional play and infinite patience. On the other, Scaloni's Argentina is all about Bilardismo, which prioritizes survival, grit, and extreme emotional cohesion above everything else. It's a survival instinct. It's the exact same mindset forged during their 2022 run in Qatar, letting them absorb immense pressure and just grind out those narrow victories.
Moving on to part 2, Spain's tactical domination.
Now, what's really interesting here is that Spain's statistical dominance didn't happen by accident. It was rooted in a very specific formation mismatch. During build-up, Spain shifted into a 2-4-3-1 shape, shoving their fullbacks, Pedro Porro and Marc Cucurella, way out wide. But they kept their double pivot perfectly central. That forced Argentina's 4-4-2 mid-block into these impossible marking choices, which basically handed Spain the absolute lion's share of possession.
And it created a brilliant tactical trap. Look at how Rodri and Fabian Ruiz intentionally dropped deep, right toward their own center backs. To stop them from just dictating the game, Argentina's central midfielders, McAllister and Enzo Fernandez, had to take the bait and push high to press. Instantly, massive pockets of vertical space opened up right behind them. This gave attackers like Dani Olmo the perfect chance to receive the ball, turn, and completely terrorize the defense.
Because of all that midfield manipulation, Argentina's center backs Romero and Martinez were constantly dragged into desperate one-on-one duels. Now, they survived for over 100 minutes, which is incredible, but that kind of tactical suffocation is just exhausting. Finally, in the 106th minute of extra time, Spain broke them down for good, with Ferran Torres burying the ball in the back of the net to steal the championship.
Which brings us to part 3, De La Fuente's human touch.
The mastermind behind all this tactical brilliance is head coach Luis de la Fuente, and his approach is fascinatingly human-centric. Instead of ruling with an iron fist, he built this championship-winning squad on respect, compassion, and a tireless work ethic. He's famously said that he prioritizes the person, the human being, and their kindness above all else. For him, there's no such thing as luck in football. There's only hard work, dedication, and the core values you bring onto the pitch.
So the crucial point is how this mindset directly impacted Spain's performance. By pushing the idea that the only real failure is not trying, De La Fuente effectively completely removed the fear of making mistakes. And as we know, when you have a team playing without fear on the biggest stage in the entire world, they are totally free to execute those complex tactical rotations we just talked about and do it with absolute confidence. Let's flip to the other side for part 4, Messi's quiet leadership.
Looking at the other side of the pitch, there was a really interesting cultural analysis published by Salon recently, contrasting 39-year-old Lionel Messi's demeanor with modern concepts of masculinity. The piece neutrally contrasts the sort of performative toughness you often see in modern American politics or aggressive truck commercials with Messi's quiet leadership. It outlines a guy who barely ever raises his voice, yet commands absolute respect entirely through his actions rather than his volume. And this brilliantly illustrates the core thesis of that analysis, that true strength doesn't actually require a loud engine or a microphone. Think about it. As an 8-time Ballon d'Or winner who has navigated immense global pressure for 2 straight decades, Messi proves his strength in the work itself. He literally lets the ball do the talking. The argument here is that a man who actually has the goods simply doesn't need to aggressively perform his toughness.
But things took a turn. Part 5, Chaos After the Whistle.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the escalation of violence was shockingly rapid. Right after the final whistle blew, Spain's Rodri ran onto the pitch to celebrate. Out of nowhere, Argentina's Noel Molina suddenly strikes him.
This instantly sparks a massive, wider brawl, where Leandro Paredes ends up grabbing Spain's Eric Garcia by the throat. It turned into a totally chaotic melee. The coaching staff had to urgently intervene, and the whole thing ended with both Paredes and Enzo Fernandez seeing red cards. And the lack of sportsmanship didn't end with a physical altercation. During the actual trophy presentation, several Argentina players were seen literally turning their backs on the stage at the exact moment Spain received the World Cup. German football legend Lothar Matthäus heavily criticized this in the media, outright calling the Argentine squad sore losers who lacked the basic respect owed to a team that just deservedly became world champions. Yet, right in the middle of all this chaos, Spain's Dani Olmo offered a total masterclass in maturity. Downplaying the drama, he firmly stated that what truly matters are the values a team conveys to the world. He reminded everyone that players on a stage like this are examples for generations of young kids watching at home. It was a perfect way of anchoring a really ugly, dramatic episode back to the core values of sportsmanship and responsibility. Finally, Part 6, Passing the Torch. Taking a step back, this final really felt like a shifting of tectonic plates in world football. We are witnessing a very stark passing of the torch. On one hand, we're seeing the twilight of Lionel Messi's legendary international career, wrapping up his World Cup journey at 39 years old. And on the exact same pitch, we're watching the explosive dawn of Spain's new era, heavily driven by their next generation of superstars, like the brilliant Lamine Yamal, who is already rocketing up those Ballon d'Or power rankings.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. With Spain returning to the absolute pinnacle of the sport through sheer tactical brilliance, and Messi's incredible World Cup journey seemingly at its end, has the crown officially been passed to a new generation? It's a massive question, and one that is definitely going to define the next 4 years of international football. Thanks so much for diving into this with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.